28, 2025. It is 7 p.m., and the May 28th meeting will now be called to order. First order of business will be the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 3 on the agenda, the approval of minutes. We have no minutes to approve. We're going to skip directly to certificates of compliance, 242-1872, Juniper Circle, Oak Ridge Village Condo Association.
So this order was issued in September of 2023, and it governed replacing and lengthening the existing retaining wall with a new shade concrete block wall. Rear yards were eroding, and there was subsidence at the edge of the existing wall. The new wall was to be installed essentially in the same location, partially within the 25 and in the 50, but this was a condo complex permitted under 40B, so wetlands impacts weren't strictly adhered to at the time. There was a chain link fence that was removed, and then a new one was reassembled at the top of the wall. Design engineers provided a certification letter noting that the only deviations included wall location being a bit further away from the wetland and a few inches higher on the northern end. The site is stable, erosion controls have been removed, and the wetland markers are installed on the chain link fence. Paul Bergman, design engineer, is here with us this evening if you have any questions, but otherwise I have no issues.
Paul, hold on one second. We'll see if you have to talk at all.
A 40B, we don't get too much say in it until like the wall's further away, so I'm all set.
I'm all set too, thank you.
I'm all set.
I also have no questions. Anybody, any neighbors, any abutters want to be heard? No abutters answer. Ready for a motion?
Motion to approve 242-1872 Juniper Circle and issue a full certificate of compliance.
Motion and a
Second.
motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous.
One abstention.
One abstention. A quick abstention.
Well,
You're all
I guess
set,
that
sir.
was it. Thanks for coming.
That was fast.
Good to see you.
I'm glad you were here. I'm even more happy you didn't have to talk.
Oh, good. You'll send me the COC?
You want the original? Okay.
And, well, I guess you don't even
For
have to record the original anymore, is my understanding.
Oh, yeah, you do.
So,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
so
You
if
can do it
send me a
electronically?
copy, Amy, we'll record it, we'll get you proof for the
Okay, all right.
recording, so that,
Okay.
does that
Okay.
sound okay?
That's fine.
All right.
Yep, we'll get it to you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
See you, thank you. Next item is small project, NACC number 346, 325 Abbott Street.
Let's see. You guys can come on up and have a seat. Alrighty. This small project is coming under a category L, which is other projects of similar scope with minimal impact. Project entails construction of a 10 by 18 addition off the rear of the house to be supported by 2 Bigfoot footings. The addition will be situated over an existing patio. The patio will remain in place and not be touched. The closest footing will be 91 feet from the wetland. The wetland was flagged in the summer of 2024 by North Environmental for a previous deck stairs project permitted under a small project last summer, and those flags still remain and are accurate. Construction access is proposed off the southeast corner of the house, off the driveway. There's a small ornamental tree outside the buffer that's going to be removed to allow for that access. And according to the contractor, a mini excavator will be used to dig the footings, which is only 1 day worth of work, and the rest of the construction will be done by hand. The homeowner and the contractor is here with us this evening if you have questions.
Brad?
Did we get a closeout for the previous project?
Yes, yep.
All set.
I'm all set. Thank you.
Sean?
So is this a true addition to a house?
Yes.
It's going to have HVAC running through it?
Yes, it will be conditioned space.
I'm sorry?
It will be conditioned space.
Yep, and are those aren't window units you're putting in, that's central?
It'll be central. It'll be tying into the existing system.
Yeah. How long is this project going to take?
Approximately 5 months.
Plus the shingling? So that's a good picture of it right there.
Yeah.
So I think this is more than a small project, in my opinion. I think this is an RDA. This is a true addition to a home. I don't think we've ever allowed a addition to a home like this under a small project. So I think this is probably a very, very permittable project, especially because it's so far away from the wetland. But I do think it's requires more than just a small project. I think it's something we want a little bit more information, well, control over, I would phrase it.
Do you feel that the 91-foot distance from the delineation line mitigates any of the?
I do. I think that's a significant mitigating factor.
Okay.
But I think if you allow an addition here and this one, we're gonna be flooded with additions coming in a small project, and then we would have opened up Pandora's box.
Okay, thank you. Sure.
I guess to follow up on that question, I think we're the only, whoop, yeah. Hold on, let me take a sip of caffeine here.
Well, before you ask your question, Amy, can you read for us, if you can, the category, the description of the category for category L, please?
L are other similar projects of minimal impact as determined by the North Andover Conservation Commission.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, David.
And, well, I guess you were asking about mitigating factors, and
Yeah.
I would make something of the fact that this is being supported by posts and not a full, like, basement excavation as well, right? So the impact in terms of ground and disturbance and things like that are significantly less. I just don't know if that sort of drifts it back, in your mind, more towards a small project where they're not, like I said, they're not digging out a whole basement and setting a foundation.
Sure. You know, the language that she brought up, I was kind of glad keeping that back up. Similar projects, if you look to the projects that are above, the closest thing that is similar to this is a shed, and it doesn't take 5 months of construction to put a shed in there. So I think this is way, way beyond a shed. Everything else is really groundwork. Pruning patios is another one, so.
This creates new living space also, if I'm correct, right?
Yeah,
Creating
yeah.
new square footage? In other words, it's not an in-kind?
No.
No.
It's new,
Yeah,
but it's over a patio.
yeah.
Yeah, no, it certainly comes, in my mind, comes close, but I just think it is, and again, and I'm just one commissioner, but I just think it's beyond anything that we have listed in our small project bylaw.
I think, let's see if anybody's moved.
Yeah.
Does anybody want to offer a motion one way or the other?
So is it the length of construction that gives us pause?
The activity, yeah, I think that activity going on during the construction process for that amount of time, stockpiling things back there. I just don't, when we did the small project bylaw, it was really focused on, people doing really small projects. The most involved one would have been replacement of the deck. And, this is just certainly more than that with HVAC equipment going in. It's just, again, not, in my mind, not similar to the other line items we have there.
I'm usually going to leave the lawyer to the lawyers,
Size that.
and the guy that wrote the bylaw to understand what the intent was, so.
Yeah, well, no, please, everybody, things evolve, right?
Yeah.
We talk about changing things and making things different, but I guess my one concern, and, I'd love to give a one-off, like, yeah, it's 91 feet away, but I'm just concerned about the precedent it would set and the filings we will have in the future.
So, Brad, to build off of your question, I guess what I would say is remind us, or remind me if you could, what are the substantive differences between this and an RDA?
Conditioning and documents they need to put together for the filing.
So an IDA is the step in the middle.
Yeah, yeah.
An IDA cannot have more than 3 conditions, according to the handbook, or then it kicks it up to the NOI category. I think, I understand what Sean's saying. This is new living space. This is not any, this is a real genuine addition to the house. I understand.
So maybe the contractor can just explain sort of logistics through those 5 months, you know, what we could expect for activity or,
Staging for majority of materials, framing materials and those types of things will be up on the driveway, just because access will be easier for us to bring it down on the northwest side, down to where the addition will be, instead of bringing it all the way around on the southeast corner there.
okay,
So the mini excavator will be coming around on the southeast corner, but as far as your framing, siding, windows, and then all other contractors, as far as interior work goes, will be coming through the front door. Electrician, HVAC, board and plaster, insulation. They'll be using that access to get into the space, because that space will be 1 story off of the ground. So as far as impact to staging materials and equipment, all of that will be up on the driveway.
so how much time will work that involves people being outside back and forth take?
That would be probably somewhere between 6 and 8 weeks.
6 and 8 weeks?
Yep.
Okay, and then from there,
Now we're inside.
you're all inside?
We're inside, yep.
So, I will only vote if there's a tie, per Robert's rules. However, if I were voting, I would vote to deny the small project and require an RDA.
I'm prepared to move that unless the applicant wants to withdraw and refile it as an RDA.
Well, offer the motion, we'll call the vote.
I move that we deny NACC 346, 325 Abbott Street as a Category L.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor of denying the application signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
So it sounds like it's denied. So, what,
Because, did you cast your vote?
I voted,
Okay,
yeah, I voted to deny,
all right.
yep.
So what's the difference between, what do you have to do for an RDA?
So the requirements for an IDA are not terrible. You need a plan. Amy,
So,
do you have the submittal requirements for an IDA handy, or is it something you can email to them?
I can email it to you. So it's a butter notification, it's a public hearing, a legal ad in the newspaper. Come
So
back
it's all
here.
that- Yeah, I've done that before.
Yeah, and then the resulting permit, it's good for 3 years, and, you know, the conditions are, you know, will govern how work is done, erosion controls and all that. So I guess the application package will have to be much more detailed in the logistics of the project,
Yep.
length of time for, like I asked, and stuff
Right.
like that.
Right.
Essentially, we just
So-
need a plan of exactly what he just said.
Yep.
And not much more than that, and
Yep.
it's just something to hold and say when it comes to permitting.
And whether it's guttered and all that other
Yep.
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Control of water.
Mhm.
Runoff,
Mhm.
which can be stone drip edges.
Right.
And that's the reason why I denied it as a small project, because we'd like to know those, I personally want to know those kind of
No,
details.
I don't think
understand.
you're gonna have much of an issue with it.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Just need to choose a different path.
It's very permittable. I'm not saying it's not permittable, it's just it was the wrong format,
Okay.
and we apologize for that. Okay, so we're ready to move on?
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you.
Sorry, guys.
So We're going to RDA's, request for determination of applicability, 83 Academy Road, Howell Custom Building Group.
For now. I guess no one's here for that. I can give you an overview, and I don't know if you're gonna need, you know, someone to be here to answer questions, but I'm surprised. Alrighty, so this request for determination, the project entails renovations of an existing detached carriage house. Most of the work is interior and ongoing at the moment. The structure, as well as the main dwelling, were built in 1852. And work within the buffer zone involves replacing the failing enclosed stairway on the north side of the carriage house. It's just, the corner is just inside the 50, but it is a couple hundred years old, so I think it's well within the grandfathering status. The new stairway will receive a 58-square-foot frost wall foundation. An electrical trench is proposed off of the northeast side of the enclosed stairway, and then it will run up along the shoulder of the driveway to the street. I inspected the wetland flagging, and the closest to the work, and I agree with that delineation. The proposed erosion control location will need to be tightened up closer to the work, and this can be a condition of approval and coordinated in the field prior to construction with me. So I did expect someone to come.
No problem, I think we can handle this. Brad?
I think I'm all set, but I just feel the need to point out that I hate the fact that our bylaws result in this sort of stuff where we throw a manhole outside of 25.
That's the wrong, you're on the wrong set of
I'm on the wrong
plans.
one. Good. What do I get to hate on here?
That's what I hate about this commission, we're always on the wrong one.
83 Academy.
I'll come, Brad, I'm gonna come
I
back to
think
you.
it's in your
I'm gonna
packet.
come back to you.
I think it's in
We're
your
gonna-
packet.
I was stewing on that one. and
You're
I
not
was
out of
too
the
ready
box.
for it.
Read up on it right now, we'll come back to you.
I came preloaded for that one.
It's all right, it's all right, listen, it's one of those things.
Amy, can I just, can I ask a question just on that drawing?
The actual blueprint.
Oh, okay, yep.
Just on the other side, there's references to new deck post framing, new deck stairs, is that?
It's all interior.
Oh, that's all, that's
It's
interior?
all enclosed,
Okay.
so let me
Thank you.
I can get the pictures up.
That's it, that's, if it's, I wasn't clear to me from the drawing, but that's fine. I have no question.
Okay, Sean?
Amy, looking at the plan, it looks like the carriage house is about the size of a home. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
garage.
And they're gonna tear it down, they're gonna?
No.
Oh, no?
Oh, no.
Oh,
This
so-
is interior renovation.
Interior,
Interior
and just the
renovation.
stairs?
And just, see, it's enclosed,
Gotcha,
and here the stairs are enclosed.
thank you. I don't have any other questions.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't have let them do an RDA if they're gonna do it. I know that much.
Well, like Brad, I'm on the wrong project, sorry.
Not that you're under the gun or anything, Amy.
No, it's all right.
David?
I'm good.
Okay, so,
I'm looking at the right one now.
we're
No,
ready.
I am, I'm fine with this one, yeah, you're just changing the erosion controls that you said on there.
Yes, yeah.
So the recommendation is to close the hearing and issue a -3 determination with conditions that are listed below.
So moved.
Let me, just a couple quick questions for you, Amy, and then I'll be happy to do that.
Sure.
The area is, are the wetlands being maintained? Are there no
Yeah.
intrusions, anything like that
No,
going on? We're all good?
Yeah, yeah.
Are there any markings up that, signage, posts, or
No,
on
actually, there
trees?
aren't.
Could we do maybe
Yeah,
some?
we can do that. There's a fence.
Yeah, yeah,
and,
this would be a good opportunity, I think, for us
yeah.
to mark that,
Yep,
because they are so close to it.
yes,
All right, that's all I had,
okay.
and I'm happy to move this as a -3 determinations with the conditions that Al referenced, as well as some signage.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that is unanimous. Okay, the next item, I have to recuse myself from, because I am an employee of Merrimack College. I'm gonna turn this over to Shawno, and I'm gonna have a seat.
Sure. All right, the next matter up is 203 Turnpike Street. There's no Merrimack College.
So, just before we begin, I did let the applicant's representatives know that there are 2 outstanding order conditions for the property, for Merrimack College. This work is mostly off of the Merrimack College property, because it's drainage in the street and across the street, but just wanted to bring that to the fore. I'll give a quick rundown, but I'm going to let the engineer take over to get into the nitty-gritty.
Amy, just real quick.
Yes.
How outstanding are those?
Oh, just a couple of years. These are recent projects.
Okay,
They're
just curious.
just recently finished. Yeah. So this project is, as part of the Merrimack College, the new dorms that are being constructed at the corner of Route 114 and Andover Street. Drainage is proposed and connection to the Mass DOT system is part of that work. Based on a closed-circuit TV investigation, 3 sections of the existing 18-inch pipe of different materials running under the parking lot at 203 Turnpike are aged and deformed. There is a DOT easement that goes through the parking lot, so it's a private entity that owns the parking lot with the DOT easement over it, so. So the entirety of the pipe is within paved parking lot, and the 18-inch pipe is connected to a terminal 24-inch pipe of about 25 feet in length, or give or take, or so. The plan is to install a new 24-inch pipe, CMP,
RCP, new concrete pipe.
Okay, reinforced concrete, with 2 new manholes and replace a catch basin. The terminal 25 feet of the 24-inch pipe is in good shape, and that won't be touched, so no work will be done in the 25, even though it's all pavement. But anyway. The wetland is located in Andover, but the buffer zone projects into North Andover. Work is planned for the dry months, but emergency dewatering is proposed on the plan and will be employed if needed. And the project engineer is here this evening to fill in any gaps. So you can introduce yourself.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. Jeff Kettertz with VHB. That was a good history. I'm happy to give context on how we got here, but as Amy mentioned, essentially as part of this project, after going through local approvals with the planning board and the zoning board, and a stormwater peer review as part of the project, we went through Mass DOT for an access permit as we abutted State Highway, and as part of that review, a CCTV inspection was performed of the downstream drainage out to the existing head wall, just off the bottom left of the page. And as part of that inspection, there were a couple sections of corrugated metal pipe and clay pipe that are deforming and starting to fail. So the proposal is to replace that with new concrete pipe. This is a good markup here, just for clarification. The pipe C is a 24-inch currently up to that EXCB 101 structure, and from there up to Andover Street is 18-inch combination of corrugated metal and vitrified clay pipe, and we're proposing to replace that with new reinforced 24-inch concrete pipe. But certainly happy to answer any questions or give any more background.
Start from left to right.
Sounds great. No, to me, project looks great. We're just replacing in kind here. The only point I was trying to make earlier on a completely separate project that has nothing to do with this. But I hate seeing these projects end in a manhole, a new manhole right before the 25 because of our regulations. I would love for these projects to end in a nice new head wall going into the stream itself that can provide us better protection moving into the future. I would maybe like to see something, if we got a code committee, I know, to maybe look at allowing new or pipe maintenance in the 25 when it's being replaced in kind to be allowed, something along those lines.
Yeah, I think we would. I mean, I think generally if that stretch of pipe needed replacement, we would allow it.
I also
Well,
noticed the other side is an Andover
It's
in
in
this
Andover,
case.
so that
So,
triggers,
That's another reason why
it's
we
their
allow it.
wetland.
yeah.
I mean, really, I'm not gonna take responsibility for Andover's wetlands.
Has Andover had an order in place, or have they had a hearing on this?
Not on this. They've reviewed the project because the drainage ends up in, oh, no, I'm sorry, this did not go through the master plan, so no, Andover has not had review in this project.
Will they be reviewing it? Is
I-
any, none of this goes into Andover at all?
I wasn't anticipating where the work is in North Andover.
Okay. So none of the work is in Andover?
Correct, correct.
Any other questions?
No questions.
No questions?
Yeah, I mean, if, I was gonna ask what's the different, we keep talking about small project, RDA, NOI, but if, I think Brad said it where it's replacement in kind, we're okay with an RDA, it sounds like?
Yeah, I think,
Yeah,
I
just
don't know-
making sure,
yeah,
just,
Well, no, it's a great question. I don't know what more, is there any, but it really comes down to asking the administrator and the folks that know a heck of a lot more than I do.
That-
Is there any reason why an RDA is not the appropriate vessel for this project?
So I actually had consulted with Brad and Marissa about this and whether there's an understanding out in the private sector that this falls under the exemption for minor activities. I kind of disagree with that, just because the exemption doesn't talk about, it talks about sewer pipes, it doesn't talk about drainage. So I think that's purposefully left out of that exemption, however, whatever. But I hung my hat on our bylaw, that it can't be administrative approval, and it's not a small project. And what I did say to the engineer is that the plan really needs to depict all the things, all the contingencies that we would want as conditions, so that you do the plan, and we have 3 conditions. And as long as you follow your plan, we don't have to make up all the conditions about, what we usually ask for. And I think the big worry would be dewatering. But if you could speak to how long you're gonna be just letting
Sure.
the existing pipe flow and.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So the goal is to do this during the dry season this summer, obviously, so the July-August window. There is some flexibility from a timing standpoint. As part of the Mass DOT permit requirements, will be night work as well. But total duration is about 2 to 3 weeks from start to finish. So work will start at the downstream end, that first manhole, and head upwards to Andover Street. The first section will be done very mindful of a dry window to make sure that there's no storm events coming up, and for that last section to be in place. From there, they'll continue to work upstream and again, pursue dry windows if there are anticipated storm events. Downstream of where the work's completed will be tied back in and erosion controls stabilized. In the off chance it's needed, there will be pumps and discharge hoses available on site. If anything, to pump from Andover Street to the new manhole, CB, I can't read that number, sorry, my eyes aren't that great. Where the red line is shown, that's an approximate, if any bypass pumping is needed. We don't anticipate it, we don't want to get into that situation. We'd rather pause and wait to continue in dry weather. From a dewatering standpoint, we don't anticipate groundwater conditions, but if any is encountered, materials will be on site, dewatering filter bag and pumps and discharge hoses. And what we'd like to do is make sure that we're keeping the dewatering discharge on site. So we would excavate an on-site infiltration trench and pump the discharge into that outside of the 100-foot buffer. Don't want to create any off-site dewatering discharge or trigger any additional impacts.
And where is it, all of that written? Is it in the RDA?
There's some notes in the top
Okay.
right of this plan
Yep.
regarding the sequencing there. Yeah.
And Brad, you put some 2 cents into this earlier, and you think this is an RDA?
The only thing I see missing is the requirement for the filter bag to be on site, I guess. So I would just want that as a condition.
Okay. But otherwise, you're good with this as an RDA and not an NOI?
Yes, I am.
Have we explored your question?
Yeah.
Does anybody have a motion?
This is a public hearing, so I don't know if.
Oh, good
anyone
point.
from-
Do we have any butters? Hearing none, I'll open the floor to a motion.
Motion to approve this as or issue a -3 determination with the conditions listed.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
And
With the additional.
With the
condition.
additional condition of the silt bag to be on, or the
Yeah.
dewatering filter bag to be on site during construction at all
Yeah.
times.
We have an amended motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, it is approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
thanks.
Thank you, Counselor.
Sure.
Is this yours?
What the hell is that?
We're at notice of intent.
Thank you.
242-1910, 575 Osgood Street, Edgewood Retirement Community, continued from May 19th, 25. Mr. Osgood.
Good evening, Ben Osgood, Ranger Engineering Group. Prior to the last meeting, we had submitted revised plans that took care of all the comments from both the commission and DEP. Submitted the new plans to DEP, haven't heard any additional comments. The one, I think, item that should be noted, one of the DEP comments was regarding the stream crossings. We have 3 culverts we were replacing, and DEP wanted stream crossing standards met. So what we did is we ran the numbers, we did hydraulic analysis with HydroCAD. The pipes can handle the 10-year flow, so basically they're just gonna be cleaned. The head walls are gonna be installed on the uphill side, a little bit of riprap on the bottom side to keep the channels from eroding, and we're gonna leave those existing pipes.
These two up top, right?
The 2 down at the bottom, yeah, at the top of
These-
the page, right?
Yeah, top of the
Yep.
page. Okay. All right.
The other culvert is a drop inlet, really not, there is no way to do a drop inlet as a stream crossing. So we're just proposing a 12-inch culvert there. We don't want to drain the ponding area that's upstream, so we've set the rim of the drop inlet 6 inches above the bottom of the wetland that's upstream. And Amy brought some corrections to my attention that were required on the detail, and I took care of those today, and that plan up there actually has those corrected dimensions. We do not have a 24-inch pipe coming out of the outlet of the 18-inch tall structure, so. I think that's it. I'll answer any questions.
Let me see if Amy has any questions first, and then we'll go to the commission.
I don't.
You good?
Yep.
I'll go right to Brad.
DEP said you needed to do stream crossing for all 3 of these?
They didn't specifically say all 3, but they said for those, we needed to, if we're replacing culverts, we needed to meet the stream crossing standards.
Who's in charge of enforcing those? It's not us, is it?
Oh. Well, us, but,
It's only if we
I mean-
replace the culvert. So we're
Right.
gonna leave the culverts there. They're HDPE culverts, they're in good shape, they just need to be cleaned.
That's just crazy that stream crossing for these.
Yeah.
I'm all set.
so this one down here is, this one is gonna receive a drop inlet, or it's
Right.
a drop that's gonna be
Basically, it's a
attached to
catch
it?
basin. It's a catch basin.
Okay,
So it's
so it's
gonna,
gonna be cleaned, and then you're gonna do the drop?
there's no culvert there now, that's a brand-new culvert.
Okay,
And
So the 6-inch something there, well, I haven't seen a 6-inch.
There's a
something
6-inch
before.
clay pipe there. There's a 6-inch clay pipe on the downstream side. We can't find it on the upstream side.
Oh,
So it just kind of, and that's the main reason the area ponds.
Is there any chance that's an old tile, an old agricultural tile,
I believe it is, yeah.
and you just can't find
We can't see where it goes.
where it's draining from?
Right,
Yeah, because
Right.
6-inch clay was typical
right.
to ag.
They're probably running all over those hills. But-
You can't farm in the mud, you gotta get the water out of it.
Right. But, so what's happened is that's gotten clogged up, it's not draining,
Yeah.
it's created the ponding area up above. So we don't wanna change the characteristics of that,
Right.
so we're just gonna put a structure that's a little bit lower than the trail, so the water can rise up and not go over the trail. Because what's happening now is it's just running over the trail, and
or higher than that.
they get a thunderstorm in the afternoon, and they have to send a crew back down there to rebuild the trail, so.
Where is this on the property?
So you drive up to the back, there's a newer, I think it's an Alzheimer's unit.
Yep.
It's kind of in the back. So right to the right of that is where this trail goes.
Yep,
There's some parking spaces there for the trailhead.
yep. Is
And
it
then half
elevated, and
mile
then it comes,
hill.
does it come down on a, is there a good-sized slope along where you've got the community on the right as you're going in towards?
Yeah, you're walking on a trail, but it drops off
Exactly.
down into the parking lot.
Yep, yep, and so it's
Yeah.
that gravel trail that you're
Yes,
talking
and it goes into the woods and then just heads down
about.
to the
Yeah,
lake. And the residents use it. I think when I was down there last fall, there were 20 canoes down at the edge of the lake, and they launched their canoes. So this is all just to provide that accessibility.
sure.
Okay, who's,
I'm all set.
All set?
David?
All set.
Amy, do you have anything?
No, I'll draft an order for the next meeting, so if you need to, you can close and I'll have
So
decisions
if,
on that,
if anybody feels, if you're not looking for any additional information,
so. I'm not if you're not.
Just want to check on the butters. Don't put there any butters.
Are there any residents or butters who have any questions or comments on this Edgewood property?
May I
And the-
close?
None answer, I guess a motion to close would be appropriate at this time, barring any new information.
So moved for 242-1910, 575 Osgood.
Second.
Motion is second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that's unanimously closed.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ben. So I see Howell Construction. So we went ahead and just forged through and reviewed the project and approved it with conditions. So I'll write that permit up, like, what's today, Wednesday, end of this week, early next. But we'll need to tighten up the location of the erosion controls, as opposed to what was drawn on the plan.
Sure.
And I think that was it. Oh, okay.
Was that Academy Road?
Yes.
Yeah, just don't tear down the carriage house without coming back, okay? We're redoing the whole. All right, good.
And that's 1852 circa, right? Yeah.
So we already went through, we got our building permit previously, we went through historic commissioning, permitting for about 6 months to get approved. But then as we showed up to start demoing the interior, the stairs on the side are failing, so we have to replace them. It's really close to that wetland. So Amy helped me through all that.
Great.
All right, appreciate
All
it.
right.
Thank you.
I'll look
Appreciate
at
that. All
Thank
right,
you
we'll be
very
in
much.
touch.
So for the erosion controls, if you want just to mark up the
Yeah.
just tell us where to put them?
Yeah, and we'll
From there.
coordinate with the pre-construction meeting too, so.
Great,
Yeah.
okay, we'll have you back out to look at that
Great,
before we
yep.
start there.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you all
thanks
for
for
your time.
coming in.
Appreciate it.
Okay, next item on the agenda is looking to continue 242-1911 Osgood Street and Great Pond Road, North Andover DPW. Request to continue to 6/11/25.
So moved, second.
Motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. It's continued. It moves us down to enforcement order violations. Why don't we move the one that wants to continue first, 242-1878 30 Ann Road, requesting to continue to 6/11/25.
So moved.
Can I just ask again before we,
Yeah.
sorry, is there any,
My inability to get out there,
Oh.
I ran out of time again.
no worries. Right,
Yeah, it's.
I'm good.
It's not anything they're doing, but they're being good, being patient with me, so.
Good, thank you. Sorry.
So we have a motion and a second to continue. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Ann Road is continued. That leaves 74 Sherwood Drive, continued from 5/19/25.
All right. I'm gonna pull up the site plan just to get people's orientation. So this is in response to an enforcement order for unauthorized tree cutting. And we required a restoration plan, and we also asked the applicant to, get together a plan and think hard about how the proposed pool was going to be done or located, and what falls in the buffer, what doesn't. So we can talk about the restoration plan and then give some feedback for the pool project as to, what type of application is appropriate. So the report provides a list of the cut trees, the stump size, with one having evidence of rot. About 10, there's about 14 on this plan, but this list points out 10. But anyway, most of them were healthy at the back of the shed, at the top of the slope. They engaged Maureen Harold with Norse Environmental. She's here this evening. I can give you the floor to explain your plan and.
Sure, so, when I recorded the trees, stumps, I recorded the ones that were 6 inches in diameter and greater.
Okay.
So maybe that's the
Okay, probably.
discrepancy.
Yep.
My proposal is, so 10 trees were cut, and we're proposing to plant 10 native shrubs. And when I went out there for the initial, to take initial look at the violation, I ended up flagging the wetland, although that wasn't part of the enforcement order, because I really thought that we were outside the 100-foot buffer zone. Come to find out, we're within the 100-foot buffer zone. There's a pretty good slope down, so that threw me off in terms of distance. But I'm proposing 10 native shrubs, 3 different shrub species, 3 to 4 feet in height. I provide a list of all native shrubs this area. Essentially, what the homeowner would like to do, as you can see, is construct a pool and a patio as well as a fence. So the idea is that there will be a fence, then the shrub restoration area where the stumps are. But I just wanted to come here, get the initial feedback from the commission, if you think that my proposal is adequate, if it needs additional plantings, and just your initial thought on this plan, if you think an RDA is appropriate or an NOI. That's something we'd like to come to the commission within the next month or so.
No, are you asking RDA or NOI with regard to?
Pool.
The pool.
You want,
We're gonna take care of the restoration under an enforcement order.
so we're
With its
talking
own
about the
time.
trees right now?
Yes.
Okay, I got you. All right,
But-
thank you.
But we wanna hit both things
Well,
before
do we
we leave.
want to just discuss it all as one, or?
Let's do the restoration.
So the restoration plan, Maureen submitted a plan to you?
And you. And you guys too.
Is it like a plan view? Because it doesn't seem to be in this packet.
No, it's a narrative.
Yeah, okay.
It's the narrative.
Or don't, we look for pictures first.
Okay, so-
So I guess the only thing that I would add to that is a native seed mix. If we're gonna loam some of the disturbed areas, I'd want something that's gonna sprout up native.
That's not a problem. My initial proposal was to loam in regular standard fescue seed just to get that area stabilized.
Okay.
But we can do a native seed mix. I mean, that's nice, but with the native seed mixes, you have some that pop this
And
year
some-
and some that pop next year. So in terms of stabilization, it's not always the
Yeah,
best.
yeah.
But
Well,
we can do it.
I
There was
mean, I
no
guess-
signs of erosion.
yeah.
And they're not gonna tear up the stumps or even grind them. It's gonna be as is, and then put the plantings around it.
Okay. All right. I'm fine with the fescue. That's, if it pops fast.
Yeah,
And then I'm sure whatever's there will just take over eventually anyway.
right.
It'll get a lot more sun, so. That's fine.
Brad, you have any?
One of the issues I had looking at this first is slope stability issues with the trees being cut down. Do we think the shrubs being planted will take care of this issue? Or if that's not an issue at all, because I'm just looking at pictures?
When I went out there for the initial view, it was in April 21st. I didn't see any signs of erosion. I didn't see any gullies. I don't think an erosion is an issue out there.
Okay.
Well, I guess what we're thinking is like long-term, as the roots rot, and it's not a living root anymore, so it might tend to loosen up through the years, so. With that in mind, maybe another bunch of shrubs just to kind of fill in all the gaps.
No
Might-
trees
might
or anything? I'm out of my wheelhouse here, I'm asking.
So, when the homeowners initially cut the trees, it was scaled off the GIS, and I think they thought they were outside the buffer zone, and they cut the trees because of the pool. They wanted to have the sunlight for the pool. So that's why I was proposing shrubs.
Okay.
Hey, let's go down the table, see what we got. Just hold fast, and we're gonna go, right,
I'm okay.
shut up.
I see the diameter of these trees. Do we have any idea how tall they were? How much, trying to get an idea of what was there versus the shrubs you're proposing?
Good question. Some of them were a decent size. I mean, there was an oak that was 21 inches at the stump, so you usually take it at diameter at breast height, which is 4.5 feet, so it would be wider and taller, so that's a good size stump. 6 inches, that's not so
Yep.
big, maybe 20 feet, give or take, 25 feet, 30 feet.
Well, I appreciate the erosion concerns that other folks on the commission and our administrator have. I don't know the right answer to it, but I do see that as something we'd want to try to, that we're that I'm cognizant of, and I'd like to see it protected. What's the best way to do it, I don't know. The other thing is, when people take down trees, we usually put up in kind, which is a tree. But I do realize you are 90-something feet away from the wetland in this case, so I guess I have an open mind.
As do I. David?
You know, I just have some questions, kind of more, less on the substance and more of the how we got here. So, because I want to make sure I understand. So, if I recall correctly, they had approached the commission or approached staff about this pool project, and were operating under the assumption that the pool proposal itself was outside the buffer.
Right.
And then when you went out to check, you noticed that the trees had been cut down.
Right.
And I remember having a whole discussion about the trees, but that the pool was still gonna be out of the 100. And now we're here where now the pool's in the 100 and the tree, so I guess the kind of silly thing, maybe this is just more editorial than anything else, but for them cutting down the trees, they could have ostensibly moved forward with this pool and been fine?
In theory, if the pool was outside the 100-foot
Yeah.
buffer zone.
Which we, until you
Right,
went
which-
out because the trees were cut.
Right,
All of us were operating under the assumption that the pool was outside the 100.
right, and I had thought the trees were outside the 100-foot, so I thought, let me flag it, Andover Consultants can pick it up. But
Okay.
there's a good slope down,
Yeah.
maybe like a 2-to-1 slope, 40% slope or something, and it's not a straight line.
Right, yeah.
You
no.
know, so it doesn't matter. I mean, we now know we're within the commission's jurisdiction. Clients want to get the project and the property back into compliance, and we're gonna move forward with filing for the pool and
Okay.
get everything back to where it's supposed to be.
May I ask just to follow up on that? Maureen,
Sure.
how do you determine the distance something is away when you're on a slope? Is there, does it take in, does it do it on its own? Do you have to do it mathematically?
So, I mean, I was just pacing it, so I didn't run a tape, but just kind of pacing it and visualizing it, I thought, there's no way these trees are within the buffer zone.
Yeah.
And I thought, let me flag the wetland, we can show it to the commission, and I was hoping that this would just put everything to bed.
Yep.
And it didn't.
Yep.
So,
But Sean, I don't know if, what you're wondering if, like, because of the angle and the tape going, or should it go like this? So
Correct.
I had asked,
I think I know it should go on a horizontal line. They
Yeah.
shouldn't get the advantage of a slope, but I just didn't know
No,
if there's
I
a
get-
mechanism,
right,
a
no,
device
so
that does that
I had
for you.
asked a couple of other wetland consultants kind of the same question. And they're like, we've done it both ways, and it's not that much different.
Yep.
Like, the results aren't like, oh, yeah, you get an extra 10 feet if you do it this way.
Yep.
They're very, very close, so,
Make a difference.
yeah.
So the discussion was talking about trees versus a shrub layer.
Right.
Yeah, sorry, I got us off topic.
So I'll weigh in and then see what happens, but when you're talking 75, 80, 85 feet, 90 feet away, you're in the upland. Absent any obvious detrimental problems, like erosion, a river running down the hill, I'm inclined to give the applicant the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, well, if you want to convert it to a shrub layer, I'll listen, because we did that at the airport on their vegetation management plan, and it's worked out quite well. They don't have any wetland problems. They do have a converted forest into a shrub layer, which has been going over 5 years now, where the world hasn't ended. I understand there should be some restoration, and I agree there should be some restoration. However, the mitigating factor on the severity of the restoration is the distance, absent any erosion. If you tell me there's erosion, that's a different story. But if we're not seeing erosion, and they want to create some daylight and sunlight for the pool, and they're 85 or 90 feet away, I really have no objection.
Yeah, I think-
I really don't. And,
We'll get a period of post-construction to monitor for erosion too.
but they need to, we need to make sure that the restoration plan is agreed upon first, and if we say in the restoration plan, tree for tree only, they don't get to do the shrub conversion
I
to.
think that's tree for tree on the slope. I think it's a lot more disturbance than we need
Yeah,
to
you're
even
gonna end
think
up-
about.
So I like to think we're kind of saying the same thing.
Mhm.
So, because I heard Maureen ask earlier about, I think I heard you ask about the conversion, you putting shrubs in to create more sunlight for the pool. I mean, I'm willing to listen to that. I think that because it's so far, I mean, it's clearly upland. It's the most, the best example of what upland is. And,
Yep.
so,
So I'm personally fine with the shrubs. I
okay.
think it's appropriate.
All right, so-
I mean, and I know why they cut the trees, because they wanted the sun for
okay,
the pool, so.
see, that's good.
We probably would have let them as long as we had some sort
That's what I was
of
gonna say, we probably would have permitted this.
restoration.
So now
to
that
make for
we're at this
long-term.
spot, let's
Yep,
maybe let the restoration plan be a shrub conversion layer
yeah,
designed to hold soil
yep,
and not to exclude sunlight.
right.
Okay, beautiful. Does that help?
Yes, very
Okay.
much.
So where do we go from here?
Well, if the commission feels that's enough shrubs, we can approve it.
Do you think it's enough shrubs?
I mean, at the end of the day, Amy, you have a post-construction
Right.
inspection period where if you feel that the shrubs are inadequate,
Yeah,
you can always direct the addition of more shrubs for purposes of holding the soil.
true. But I'd like to get them in,
Yeah, I understand.
You
We
know.
want survivability.
yeah. Would 2 to 1, like, for every, so 20 shrubs? Or 15?
I mean, we can do however many shrubs the commission wants. I mean, essentially, they're not gonna use that area.
Right.
So everything's gonna come back and naturalize. There's a seed bank in the soil, but if the commission finds that 20 shrubs is appropriate, we can propose 20 shrubs.
I think we want to err on the side of caution and use the shrubs to adhere to the hill,
Okay,
so that if we have one of those 100-year storms that come every 3, we don't have a river of gravel going down the hill.
well, the good news is that it's been raining nonstop, I think, since what? End of March, early April?
Yeah.
And I didn't see any evidence of erosion.
Yeah, I noticed the same thing, but I also noticed there's not that much, because I've been trying to get out there to cut, and I can't either, but I understand.
I guess the only question I have is there a point of diminishing returns where you pack so many shrubs into, I don't know how big that space is, but where you're actually they start choking each other out? Like, isn't there an outer limit at some point? Like, I don't want to say, oh, well, we want 50 shrubs, and
So that's where we rely upon these guys to
the
figure it out.
experts, yeah.
You know, that's, I wouldn't
Well,
know how many
we could
shrubs to
say,
direct.
we could say up to 20, not less than 10, up to 20, whatever makes sense in the field when we're out there. And we can get out there and in and
Okay.
out. and-
That's
That makes
fair.
more sense to
That
me.
sounds
Than
re-
us coming up with some
Yeah,
arbitrary
arbitrary.
number because we
No,
like the
that
sound
sounds
of it.
reasonable to me as well. Any questions, comments, concerns on this?
No, we're not talking about the pool yet, right?
We're not at the pool
Right,
yet.
we're
Very
just-
good.
just
No,
We're-
good.
restoration.
We're still sowing the hill.
Amy, do we need any wet remark or something before we agree?
Probably, but
It's far away from the 50.
I know. It's gonna be down on the slope if you,
And we usually mark it at the 50, not the 100, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
or
Well,
at least
if
the
you-
25, I don't know.
yeah. Well,
I don't think it would hurt just to maybe just put a few markers, like just beyond the cutting, just to,
And there's some trees there.
yeah, we can just put them on trees.
okay, just don't cut those trees you're gonna put them on.
Don't look at them, don't breathe on them.
I know.
Okay.
So I had put some directives or conditions in the EO for your consideration.
Yep. See a big blank on the first line there.
Yeah, like deadline.
What do you think?
I don't know.
Are we able to say prior, well, yeah, is there a way we can say prior to any other work on the prop, like, basically, we want this, the order of operation, this should be done before the, and I know we are not even at
No, I know.
discussing the pool,
Right,
but like,
right.
And this is an enforcement order,
so we do need a date.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah,
asking.
yeah.
Thank you.
Could we do a month or 6 weeks? Or I can give an update in a month, because they need to order the shrubs, and then they're likely gonna hire a contractor to install the shrubs.
Yeah, so Maureen, we didn't say this out loud. I said the bullet point. The bullet point is the restoration plan shall be executed no later than, so it's not the work, it's just the plan
Okay.
we're talking about.
So executed just means in the ground, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Get the
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you
Because then we're
were
looking
signing
at-
a plan. I'm
No,
sorry.
because then the
Oh, no, no, I meant-
survivability,
Oh, okay.
then
Get
it's a
the plants
2-year
in the ground.
survivability.
You used lawyer
I did,
executed
right.
instead of
Sorry.
construction executed.
You lawyers.
Yeah, I know. They have to order the plants.
Well,
6 weeks puts us into the middle of July, right?
Yes.
Yeah, which is
how much time is,
not the greatest time to plant plants in the middle of the summer.
You just have to water them,
You gotta water them,
you know?
I know,
They gotta run a sprinkler back there and
right,
water them.
yeah.
we do want them to, do we want them to try, or do we want them to wait till Labor Day to plant them? I mean, you know, the thing is, if you plant in the fall, the survivability is arguably better.
Yeah,
But in the interim, we have an exposed slope that's, it doesn't appear to be too badly exposed,
no,
but,
yeah. I mean, it's holding up now, because
yeah,
roots aren't rotting away yet.
right.
Well-
I mean, we could say no later than September 30th, if not earlier, and
And
if
then-
they do earlier, then they've got to water them.
Then it can be a crime of opportunity, they can put them in whenever.
Well, they gotta realize, that if I'm understanding correctly, if they don't
Survive.
water, they don't survive, they're ordering new shrubs.
New shrubs, exactly.
So you can do it one of
Exactly.
2 ways. You can put them in July and water them,
Water
or
them.
you can wait till September.
So let's go to the end of September, September 30th. Any objections to that?
And then, just.
So by
our-
September 30th, this project, restoration project will be complete.
Yep,
Everything will be in the ground and hopefully
Yep.
thriving.
yeah.
Watered.
Yeah. I mean, that's not to say that even if they did it in September, that they wouldn't still need to water,
Yeah.
because we can have a hot September and October, that they would, so that would be something that they still need to do.
You never know.
Yep. So our usual is that consultant would monitor for 2 growing seasons and make sure there's 75% overall survivorship of the plantings. And then, I guess, replace dead or dying plants. We always say that. That's always,
Can we throw some erosion monitoring language in there? Can we throw some erosion monitoring language in there too?
mm-hmm.
And that'll be done when we come in for the pool as part of your order, so
Yeah.
that'll be good.
Okay. And then just a quick report at the end of each year. And then at that end of the 2 years, we just get you back on the subsequent agenda and,
Okay.
make
Sure.
sure. Yep.
I just wanna make sure we don't whistle past this final condition, which is that the proposed pool application will not be eligible for final review decision until the restoration plan has been executed.
So with the term executed means planted,
Right.
and then you got the 2 years survivability.
I just wanna make sure we're all, we say that part out
So-
loud so that we're all on board
Right,
with it.
because I lifted that from another enforcement order. Which is sort of a similar situation where they did something, we had to make, and it was in the 25 too, so we had to make them restore that. And they wanted to do a pool, but they had room to get the pool out of the buffer, so
Oh,
that
okay.
became moot really in the end, because they have so much room to just get the pool completely out of the buffer, everything out of the buffer, so. But they did do the restoration. Anyway, I just, we don't, I mean, every case is unique and we don't necessarily have to do it that way. I'm just, you know, I just wanted to try to be consistent.
How would you like it to read? Because we've done this before. This is not new. Do we think that that pool's gonna be?
I mean, they've got everyone on board doing what we're asking. I don't think they're gonna default now.
And they have a pool installer lined up because the original thought was the pool is outside the buffer zone. So I know they wanna put the pool in as soon as they get the permit too.
Yeah, and I didn't raise it to object to it, I raised it just to make sure we all were aware that that condition was in there. Especially
I
after we
mean,
said,
and
well,
I'm-
if you don't do the
I'm
planting
just
till September 3rd, so now
Throwing
you,
it out there.
I appreciate that.
you know, we're saying, yeah, you've got till September 30th to put the plantings in, but not if you want the pool application even considered.
Right.
So,
So that means I
Yeah.
can't even file it.
Well, the way she's got this written, you can, but that's why,
But, yeah.
that was my question as to
Yeah.
whether or not this is written in the way we would ordinarily write it, because generally you can't file until, you know, when you've got an outstanding enforcement order.
So,
I mean, but
I
I
know,
won't have the
that's-
permit till August probably.
I think we should give them a chance to do the pool. I don't think we should penalize them.
well, especially where nobody was really clear on where the 100-foot
Yeah.
line was or
Well,
wasn't.
that's true.
That's why I was bringing up, but for them cutting down the trees, the pool would probably be
Yeah,
done.
and the thing is, the other situation, they knew
Yeah.
where the wetland was, so,
I don't know, I'd strike that last bullet.
okay.
That's just my opinion.
No,
We
that's
got-
fine, and
We got other
I
people
don't
up
mean
here
to
that
muddy the waters, but I just,
No, I think it's,
and I
folks
don't wanna-
disagree
I
with
just-
me every now and then, so.
No,
Anybody have an objection to striking that final bullet?
Usually side with the lawyers on this procedure.
Yeah, I do.
Well, we'll take your opinion, Mr. Engineer.
I guess I largely don't have an issue with it. They've given us a decent plan. I obviously want to hear more about the pool and the limits of disturbance for that.
Okay.
I don't know if you could tell me this. Do you know, like, roughly ballpark what it's gonna cost to put the shrubs in? Give or take?
I would think at least a couple $100, give or take, and then
Yeah.
hiring the contractor to put them in and
Yeah.
buying the seed and the labor and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I would be, I think I'd be in favor of striking this bullet as well. I ask because, I mean, could we ask them to post some sort of bond if that would alleviate some of the other commissioners' concerns about having an open enforcement order and allowing them to move forward on the pool?
Sure. Amy, why couldn't we make our enforcement order that they, in their NOI, they come up with a plan for these trees and a replacement plan?
What about incorporating the enforcement order into the
we already
NOI as a
have one.
condition?
Well, in essence, what I'm saying is, so have the notice of intent cover pretty much what they've covered here. I mean, you're ready to go on this pool project, it sounds like, right?
Yes,
Yes. And you can do them both at the same time, right?
sure.
Is that against our precedent and what we've done with this commission? When we see something that needs to be enforced, we tell them to file an NOI to fix it, and then maybe that NOI includes other work they want to have on the project.
well, I guess you should never ask for NOI for something you'd never allow in the first place.
Right,
So,
but I don't know if this falls in that category.
Yeah.
I think this is 91 feet away, and if they came in front of us, we would ask for some kind of, we'd probably allow them to take it down, but ask for a restoration plan.
okay.
So ma-
But because I do think it sets really bad precedent when we have people that have outstanding NOIs and we don't let them file NOIs in front of us when we have somebody with an enforcement order, but we're like, go ahead and file. I
So,
just think
so
that-
would we have to close this and then,
No, we-
I just wanna make sure I understand
Yeah,
the order of operation.
I would move to amend this, that within X amount of days, they will file an NOI
Gotcha,
concerning
gotcha.
the work that is
Okay.
been stated
Is
here.
described, yeah,
And then they would also include in that your project. Is that something you,
Yeah,
Sounds
because
good to
we
you.
can add the shrubs to the plan
Yeah.
and the seed mix and all the language and come up with a final number. I can walk the line with Amy, make sure she's in agreement with it.
Yep.
Which is the bottom of the
Yep.
slope, I think you probably will be.
and we could probably condition in that, even if you didn't write it up that way, that by September 30th, all of the trees, the plants will be placed in the shrubs.
yeah, I think that's a better, that sounds an awful lot like a motion.
Well, I want to make sure it's all right with
No,
Amy, because
no,
there
it-
are a
it
lot of
makes
traps for the
sense.
unwary when we do things we don't always do.
No, it makes sense, because you're right, that the tree cutting probably would have been allowed as long as there was some
Yeah,
restoration, maybe not trees, but
Yep.
shrubs. And if it was in the 25, all bets would be off,
Right,
but it's
right.
not, and,
yeah, it's not in the,
That's-
do not
Right.
disturb, it's not in the no build.
right,
it's
exactly.
still-
That's what,
It's-
that's what separates this from
Yeah,
every
yes,
other enforcement
yes.
order is
Yeah.
the
True.
distance from the
That's true.
the resource area delineation line.
Yeah, I think that's a
Yeah.
great solution, Sean.
So-
And the pool is their big carrot.
So it sounds like Sean wants to offer a motion to amend.
Okay.
Yeah, let me figure out how to, well, I just blurted out. I move that we amend the enforcement order to require the applicant to file a notice of intent concerning their proposed restoration by, when do you think you can get a notice of intent to?
Notice of intent for the pool
Pool and
and
restoration.
including.
Well, yeah, she can put in anything she wants. If they want to redo a walkway, they can put it in there
I
too,
got you,
right?
yeah.
So I'm out of luck for the first meeting in June, right? Because that deadline would have been today.
Today or tomorrow.
Okay, so I can't do that. I'm hoping to get it on for the second meeting in June. I just have to make sure with the homeowner, everything is on the plan that she wants. You know,
Okay.
that there's nothing else that we need to add to it.
So does the
Well-
first meeting in July give you enough time?
Yes,
Okay,
And if you get it done earlier, you get it done earlier.
yeah, you can
Right.
file it before.
Okay.
Is everybody okay with, applicants okay?
yep.
Amy's okay,
I'm okay.
okay. That's my
I'm
motion.
just
So
impressed.
we have a motion,
That's why I sighed.
we have a motion and a,
Second.
motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? I hear none. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. The motion passes.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was really well done.
You get lucky.
All right, guys. I'm looking at a tabula rasa.
Yes, sir. Motion to adjourn?
Yeah, so we get that.
Motion and a,
Hey,
Segundo.
have we heard anything?
motion and a second to adjourn? No?
No
Have we
decisions,
heard
right?
anything about our dock permit person?
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna hold off on the motion for a
Yeah.
moment. Motion's
Withdraw.
on hold.
New business.
Yes.
Because I've noticed they've repaired their dock. I drive by it every morning.
Okay, so, yeah, that's, yeah,
Forthcoming?
I have to gather myself and then I'll. It's for another meeting, okay?
Aye.
So the question is,
You got doc headache?
Tabled.
Is that it?
your question is
Is the doc
tabled, and we're
giving you a
back to the,
headache?
Yes.
Yes.
back to the motion to adjourn. I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. We stand adjourned.